Hi, I'm Mike K. Smith, and in this video I'm going to walk you through the live set that I performed recently at Attack Release. So in my live set I have each song grouped together, and then I have trigger scenes for each of those songs. So when I press the scene launch, I know that I'm starting the beginning of that song. Each of the tracks comes through into the group, and then within the group I've got some basic channel EQ to sort out low end or overall volumes, and then that goes to the master, and on the master I have some multiband compression, another EQ and a limiter just to make sure that the signal I'm sending out to the desk is as clean as I can make it. Within each song I've got beef up tracks. This is a concept from Rachel K. Collier's performance course, and the idea here is that you render out parts that are going to play in the background, which saves CPU use, and you're just leaving the parts that you're actually going to play. So here I'm playing the gem device from For's Opal, and also the dust device. I have a kick and a carbon kit to provide some backing. So when I launch this, the beef up will play, and I can then, when I'm ready, launch the next parts. Another thing to point out is that I have a clip here which switches off the gem device whenever it's not being played. So while I launch this clip, the gem device is playing, but when I launch the previous scene to start the previous track, it switches off that whole instrument rack. This again will save CPU use down the line, and also when I transition to the next track, I switch the device back off again. During performance, I'm going to be tweaking the different settings on this device. But the concern is that when I finish the track, these settings are where I last left them. So within this grouped instrument rack, I've created a snapshot variation which resets the device back to the starting point. This means that whenever I start the performance, I can initialize all instruments and set things up so that I know that they're going to be in the right place for the performance. As part of this performance, I was wanting to produce some visuals, and here I'm using the Max for Life device called Zwobot. Zwobot is really nice in that it provides a kind of built-in Max for Live visualizer with generating effects and video and everything else. So I've worked out settings that I like for each track. I've then saved these as a snapshot variation so that I can recall the visuals for each track when the track starts. I send signal from each track to the return Zwobot, and then the track here picks up that send and pipes it through the Zwobot devices. You'll notice I'm using a drum bus here, which gives me a little boost in signal, compresses, brings out transients, and allows me to emphasize bass frequencies or treble transients in order to make the most of the Zwobot signal. During performance, I used a MIDI fighter twister to tweak values for these parameters. Each track then has its own visual signature. Unfortunately, the track variations here cannot be linked to scene launches or via MIDI automation. Before each track, I make sure that I launch the right variation here from the MIDI Fighter Twister, and then I can dial in what I want to see for the visualization. I tried putting Zwobot on the return channel itself, but unfortunately the MIDI information that I was passing from the MIDI Fighter Twister somehow managed to get corrupted, and it was launching clips and changing clips. So that wasn't ideal, and that's why I have Zwobot back on its own MIDI channel here. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough, and see you next time.